is Mia Rushton.
And I'm Eric Moscapetis. We create temporary public art and social engagement. We've created 3 projects to coincide with the opening of several new skateboard parks in Calgary. The first is a zine that profiles 50 skaters from around Calgary that will be delivered to households in neighborhoods where the parks are being built. A skate school for women and a skate school for police officers that are taught by 2 teenagers.
Your front foot is turned sideways, it slides up, and you jump towards the nose of your board.
So the City of Calgary has a plan to build new skate park infrastructure across the city, so it's a network of new parks.
What's interesting about this project is that we're dealing with several physical geographies where the parks are actually going, the communities around those parks, and then the skateboard community, which is essentially geography-less. It's citywide. Mia and I's work is very much about intervention and misusing the city or finding ways to use the city differently, and that's what skateboarders do. The first thing that we did when we got this commission was to meet all the different stakeholders and the different communities that were going to be involved in the skateboard parks. So we met with the skateboard community, residents associations, and neighbors and residents around the areas where the parks were going to be built.
A lot of the groups had similar concerns. To address the neighbors' concerns about the new people coming to their neighborhoods, we created a zine, a publication that profiles 50 skateboarders from around Calgary. We put out a public call for people to submit photos and answer a survey about themselves. And then from there, we wrote bios for everyone based on the answers they gave us and drew everyone's portrait. So those newspapers are being delivered to households around the new skate parks.
The hope is to deliver 40 to 45,000 zines when all said and done.
Yeah, we wanted to give more a full picture of who's involved in the skateboard community. I think sometimes it's imagined that it's a fairly narrow group of people, and through the zine we were able to show that there are lots of different people who are interested in skateboarding.
One of the things that the zine does that I think is really interesting is that it acts as a bit of an intervention. You're essentially taking the identities of 50 people and putting it in somebody's mailbox and asking people in a fairly forthright way to learn about skateboarding and skateboarding culture.
In the zine, we invite people actually to go to the skate parks and to see the skaters in action. It would be amazing if somebody who had read the zine shows up and recognizes somebody who is profiled and strikes up a conversation or tells them that they know who they are already.
Some of the police joked with us in the first class that they actually thought that they were being spammed or that it was a joke, that they didn't actually realize that what we were offering was in fact the true course until we confirmed them as participants.
There is kind of a stereotypical adversarial relationship between the police and the skateboard community, and so we're hoping to build personal relationships that can break down those barriers.
Maybe they'll understand where we're coming from as skateboarders, because like I said, a lot of times skateboarding is seen as this unlawful activity and skateboarders are typically marginalized. And doing with the people that are enforcing these rules will help them understand us a little bit better.
So stopping and talking to the guys and gals at the skate park is just another opportunity to bridge that gap, and we're here for the public to keep the public safe. So if they don't feel safe approaching us or are uncomfortable talking to us, then I don't think we're doing our job.
We're going to set goals for the day. I think every day we should set goals for what we'd like to accomplish or improve upon. And we're going to talk about city spots. Because basically you guys have probably seen kids out skating areas and you're like, why are they skating there? What's the appeal?
You're focusing less on enforcement and you're focusing more on trying to meet the kids where they're at, build a certain level of relationship. Because if all you're doing is enforcement, you haven't put yourself in an opportunity to work with them or inspire any change in either yourself or them. I don't know if I'm going to be Tony Hawk or anything like that. It helps to have a little bit of knowledge and be able to bridge a little bit of a gap, so it's not so much of an us versus them, or whether that's there or not, the feeling to some degree. It gets rid of that. People of any age, you have to meet them where they're at. If you're not meeting them where they're at, you're just talking to a wall sometimes.
We kind of anticipated that the police may not necessarily have as many personal reasons for wanting to skateboard. It might be more of a professional development activity, whereas on the women's side, I think a lot of the participants had more of a personal connection or personal goals that they wanted to meet.
Of the 35 or so applications that we got, maybe
10 of them were under the age of 30, and all were over the age of 18. But most of them, the bulk of them were women who were
Like
35
yeah.
up. It's really fascinating because I think that the project actually was filling a generational gap that we didn't know existed. I suppose we intuitively knew that that was probably a thing, but we didn't know that that was going to be represented in the course so heavily.
I manage a ski and snowboard shop with a lot of young girls, and I also have an 18-year-old competitive snowboard daughter who started skateboarding a couple of years ago, and I just want to be able to keep up with her, hoping maybe one day. But really it's just to get some other girls stoked on skateboarding. I think it's a cool sport.
People in their application said that they always wanted to skateboard, or they tried when they were younger for maybe a little while but felt intimidated at the parks.
Or discouraged by family members.
Discouraged, yeah, by other people who were already skateboarding.
Grew up in a small town that had a skate park, but I don't know, I didn't really have a network of friends to go with, and I think back then it was just a lot. If you didn't have friends to go with, you just didn't do it, and I think skate parks can be very intimidating, especially as a female, so I think just having a network of people to go with was really important.
One of the major reasons that we picked these women wasn't just because of their desire to learn to skateboard, but that we asked them how do they imagine themselves participating in the skate community in the future, and we were really looking for women who would act as mentors in the community. So having 12 new women skaters in the community is actually pretty good. Yeah, it's significant.
Like, it's something really individual. You can do it on your own, but you can do it still with friends. I don't know, it was a really nice environment. It just felt really good to be out with a group of people you knew but working on your own thing.
Had never even stood on a skateboard before the course started, so I was a complete beginner, and it was something that I really hadn't imagined for myself before starting to work on this project. That was challenging.
We are planning on developing a plan of action and a patch. In terms of having a life beyond the course, the hope is to come up with a bit of a manifesto or strategies and ways that the women themselves will continue to skate, how they might bring more people into the skate community. And then the patch itself becomes just a visual identifier. So the hope is to print about 500 women can carry around with them, put a couple in their pocket when they go out to skate. It acts as a bit of a merit badge, but more than anything, I think it just starts to create a visual community around the city. It's not just about we're women who skateboard, but there's kind of another visual identity that's layered on top of that.